Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
Powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, this is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner. That's Corey Tackman. Corey, a big day in Minnesota this week, or a big week, I guess I should say. Spring sports officially rocking and rolling, even though we still have boys basketball to wrap up for the winter sports season. We'll talk about how some local teams are getting a lot of love in baseball. And speaking of baseball, the Minnesota Twins opening day starting lineups, Corey and I project them. Also, who's more popular, the Wild or the Twins in Minnesota? Yep. All those conversations and more. But first, Corey, let's have the biggest conversation that everyone can agree on. The Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena is the place to go to fill your belly with some great pizza.
Saddle up for big flavor, says the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in downtown Wadena. Loaded up with all your favorite meats. A large Bronco pizza is only $13 all month long. The March Pizza of the Month at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in downtown Wadena. CJ, you have often said the Bronco is your favorite pizza.
It is.
Like, what is it? What is it? Is there like, oh, it's because it has pepperoni, or is it
a lot of meat on it?
That's the combination therein, huh?
Yes, it's got sausage, it's got ham, it's got pepperonis, it's got all the great stuff on there. I just like pizza that's got a lot of meat on it, and it just checks all the boxes. So there's really not much that I could add on other than more meat, I guess. But I mean, look at that thing. There's already so much on there. If you put any more on, it's going to all fall off and fall onto your plate, which, isn't the worst thing in the world. You just scoop it all up. But that being said, a lot of great meat on the pizza, which is what I like. Don't get the veggies off the pizza. I don't want them on there. Get the fruit off. I don't want pineapple. Give me pepperoni and ham and sausage and just all that good stuff. Throw it on there, and I'm eating it more than I probably should.
A large Bronco pizza, just $13. The March Pizza of the Month at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
Okay, Corey, our focus, while Henning Hornets are still going to the state boys basketball tournament that is going to be next week, and we still don't know who they're going to play yet. They are going to meet, according to the high school league, to set the bracket tonight. Now, I don't know if that means that the bracket will be released tonight, or if that means that they're going to decide tonight and release it tomorrow. All I know is,
even this weekend, let's be honest, like to keep it on a regular schedule. I've been interested to see how this is going to come out.
Right, exactly. Like, these teams have an extra week. Normally it's like, boom, right away your first round opponent. And now all these coaches have to spend the entire weekend watching 7 different teams worth of tape. I mean, coaches have an idea of who they could play and get seeded. But that be like, Henning's going to get a top 3 seed probably. They're not looking at tape of another team that could be a top 3 seed. You're going to look at teams that you think maybe would be a lower seed in the tournament. But still, all this extra time, like, I know that there's only so much you can do in practices, but like, what does Henning do in practice? They just shoot some free throws, play a little 5-on-5, go home. Like, that's about it.
Get some cuts in with the baseball team.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe just run the bases a little bit. Yeah, exactly. So, we'll break down Henning's first round opponent and the bracket itself for all 4 classes. Once those come out, those have just not come out yet. But in the meantime, like you said, Corey, baseball has begun for OTC, for Bertha Hewitt Verndale, for Wadena Deer Creek, for everywhere. Everywhere baseball is started. Last week was kind of that week you could do some pitching, but that was it. Now this is the first full week of practice. Everybody is ready to roll. And these came out earlier in the month, but we were so enthralled into the high school boys and girls basketball scenes that we didn't get enough time to do everything justice. So let's now go and take a look at the Minnesota Baseball Coaches Association. They came out with their preseason rankings. And I want to just take a look at this because, as we know, Corey, Central Minnesota has a pretty good baseball reputation. And especially in our area, we've seen some pretty good baseball in the Park Region Conference and Heart of Lakes specifically. And that's no change here as we get ready for the 2026 season. Here is what the not bracket, but rankings look like for the Class A boys, Class A baseball rankings by the coaches to start the season. Coming in at number 1 is New Ulm Cathedral. Number 2, Southridge. Number 3, Parker's Prairie. Number 4, Red Lake County. Number 5 is Springfield. Number 6 is Cherry. Number 7 is Sacred Heart. Number 8 is Lyle Pacelli. Number 9 is Russell Tyler Ruthden. Number 10 is Legacy. Other teams receiving considerations: Uppsala Swanville area, Hayfield, New York Mills, Sabika, Ely, Frazee, Southland, Black Duck, and Murray County Central, among others. Corey, what's your gut feeling on this list?
Well, there's not really a surprise anywhere on that list of teams. I mean, come on here. We're Parker's Prairie, Springfield, Cherry,
Champion Red Lake County at number 4.
Yeah, like some of that is not surprising. What stands out to me when I look at this list is holy guacamole, Batman. Look at Section 5.
Yeah.
Look at Section 5. New York Mills, Sabika, Frazee. Is USA in Section 5 also?
Section 6.
They're in Section 6
with Parker's Prairie.
But like that race in Section 5, I think is going to be dynamite. Maybe the most surprising thing is USA on there, Parker's Prairie on there, KMS not really anywhere to be found at this.
Play now though.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like some of those like stalwarts that you're used to seeing on that side of Section 6, not necessarily in there this year, but yeah, for I am in particular looking forward to watching the New York Mills, Sabika, Frazee, that kind of three-headed monster work itself out in Section 5. I think that's going to be fascinating because all three of those teams have immediate history with Frazee. New York Mills, long history. Sabika, you don't have to go that far back, but now that's a team that is off some nice basketball success, and they're all finally upperclassmen at that level too. Section 5 is going to be a fun watch this year. Yeah,
very, very fun. By the way, some boys basketball news that I just learned talking with Sabika School Superintendent Dave Kirkfleet is that Max Lake set a Sabika record for points scored in a single season this year. And he is he is second career all time. Obviously, Clark is the top scorer for Sabika. Yes. Yeah. But I think Clark finished with, I think he said 1,913 points or something like that.
Something like that.
Basically, Max is going to pass him next season. Health withstanding, he's going to be the Sabika Trojans all-time leading scorer. He has one more year left, and very good chance he's the first ever 2,000 point scorer in Sabika Trojans history. So
he had almost 700 points this year, I think is what I saw. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's going to be good for them. So yeah, carrying that over into baseball, they're going to be a nice team. They got a lot of nice pieces, and they're going to be ready to roll. And New York Mills, they're going to try and bounce back. Frazee's got a section title to defend. A lot of interesting things there. And then, of course, 6A, the battle is always between, it feels like, Parker's Prairie and Uppsala Swanville area. So good to see that rivalry is not going anywhere either.
Go team.
Go team, go. Go team, go. Let's take a look at the AA rankings because, Corey, look at the team at number 1. It's the Perham Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, no, they're awesome and have been awesome. I mean, it's like every single week there's another player, former player who's like signing to go play college somewhere or is transferring somewhere or is going to play pro ball of some level.
Making some huge play for some D2 college somewhere. Yeah.
So, and they're great. And just some familiar schools here again on this list. Obviously the Yellow Jackets, always good. Glencoe Silver Lake, not always there, but usually there. Their head coach was my 8th grade coach, Dean Schwartz. He was awesome. He was one of the best baseball coaches I've ever had in my life. I just love that guy. Pine Island has been good of recent. St. Cloud Cathedral, duh. Duluth Marshall You may remember a few years ago, they were in the state tournament and beat Wadena Deer Creek, I think was it the 5th place game? 3rd place game?
5th place game. Yeah.
And they were all like 8th, 9th, and 10th graders that year. So now that's kind of come around to fruition for Duluth Marshall. Morris, duh. Fairmont, duh. Zumbrota, Mazeppa, Pierce, duh. Like those are just, there's some stalwarts here in this AA rankings.
Teams in consideration: Cannon Falls, Rockford, Laverne, Esco, Maple River, Holy Family, and Providence Academy, among others, put in on this list. A big who's who of AA baseball as well. Just for fun, let's take a look at the Class 4A rankings that were listed on here. It's Cretin-Durham Hall, Minnetonka, Stillwater, Wayzata, Chaska, Farmington, Maple Grove, Mounds View, Andover, and Shakopee. Other teams in consideration are Woodbury, Moorhead, Champlain Park, Prior Lake, Rosemount, Waconia, and Blaine, among others. Corey, shocker, the Cretin-Durham Hall is at number 1.
Yeah, good luck to them. It would be nice to see something go right for them.
Yeah, they really just are in need of something to go their way. Have any good baseball players come out of Cretin-Durham Hall at all?
I can't name 6. Look at the comment there. That's really funny. It's a perfect comment. Maple Grove should be way higher. They win in state this year. Also, Mounds View is so buns, no depth.
The straight seriousness to say that about high school kids is
excellent job, Steven. That's a perfect comment. Good job, buddy.
Good job, man. Hey, here's the 3A rankings. It's Matamidi at number 1, Mankato East at number 2, Delano at 3, Totino Grace at 4, Grand Rapids at 5, Mankato West at 6, Benilde St. Margaret's at 7, Northfield at 8, St. Thomas Academy at 9, Rocori is at 10. Other teams in consideration: Monticello, Hutchinson, Sartell, Orono, St. Anthony Village, Simley, and Fergus Falls, among others on that list. Corey, anything stand out to you there?
Go Otters.
Go Otters. All right, there's our look at the baseball standings. Best of luck to all the area teams and for softball, track and field, and, boys soccer, I guess, whatever gets played in the springtime.
Boys tennis?
Yes, exactly.
Golf? You say golf?
Oh, golf. Yeah, how could I forget golf?
How are you feeling? Are you going into this golf season extra confident, like this is the year you make some strides, or are you
unfortunately, yes, which is the kiss of death for my game?
And I feel the opposite. I felt I felt really great going into last summer, and then it wasn't. And so now I'm feeling, I think, probably rightfully pessimistic about my golf game.
Yeah, you see, it's like a Viking season, right? In 2024, we all came in pretty pessimistic. They won 14 games. We go in pretty optimistic. They win 9 games. We're all feeling pretty pessimistic about it. Kind of just depends on whatever your last note was, or kind of last vibe check is how you feel going into the next year. And that's kind of where I'm sitting. I feel like I mean, again, I should preface this by I am not a good golfer in the slightest.
A lot though last summer.
Yeah, that it went from a borderline you should sell your clubs to okay, fine, you can keep your clubs.
Yeah, you can keep golfing with us.
You can keep golfing for the corporate events. You won't embarrass us that badly. That is where we're at with the golf game. But anyway, I digress. So Corey, there's been an interesting debate, and I want to go back to the start of this debate on the old Twitter machine. I'm not calling it X. It's just boring. On the old Twitter machine, there was a comment brought up by a barstooler that has sparked some debate on the internet. Shocker. Brandon Walker of Barstool Sports put this out there on Twitter yesterday. He said, quote, "I need an example of a U.S. city with at least 3 pro sports teams where the NHL team is top 2 fandom in the city. Boys here say Detroit, DC, and Tampa. I think I'll give them DC and Tampa, but contest Detroit. Some guys said Minnesota. I think the Twins are bigger than the Wild." And it's the last sentence here we're hanging on. Some guys said Minnesota. I think the Twins are bigger than the Wild. And Wild, there's been a lot of like Wild fans on the internet that have been very like, how could you even contend that the Wild would be less popular than the Twins. And I would say, have you been outside the Twin Cities? Like, have you been outside the hockey hotbeds of the Twin Cities, Duluth, maybe the Moorhead area, like Thief, Roseau, like some of the hockey hotbeds, of course. But that's even implying that the Wild is a pro franchise. We're not the state of hockey because of the Minnesota Wild. We're the state of hockey because of high school hockey and youth hockey and college hockey, not so much professional hockey. And that being said, no, it's just not even close. The Minnesota Twins are the number 2. Vikings are number 1. We all agree on that. Football is king. But the Minnesota Twins are still number 2, despite how bad ownership has been and fan apathy. I think just on a general gut vibe check, the Twins are number 2, and it's not even close.
I do think it's closer than you think. As you mentioned, the Vikings are number 1 here, and now I think you can include fandom into a couple different things. You've got your diehard regulars and you've got your casuals.
Yes.
Vikings, no matter how you want to split it up or combine those two categories, the Vikings are number 1. It's just not, and it's like by a pretty large freaking margin.
There's nothing you can do about that.
But what makes it hard right now in this very moment in this state is there are some things that, for example, there's not a lot of casual Twins fans right now. You have only left diehard regular Twins fans, because I don't know if you know this, they're terrible. And there's pretty high apathy towards the organization in general. There's not a lot of casual Twins fans. On the other side of it, let's look at the Timberwolves. They're diehards who they've always had through some pretty terrible times, but casual fandom is sky high through the
exploded in the last half decade. Yeah.
So at this very instant, the Timberwolves are the number 2 team in this state, I would say, because they're good. And that really matters. The thing that's interesting about the Wild is I don't think there's casual Wild fans.
I don't think so.
You are a hockey fan or you are not. There's very few people who dip their toes into their hockey fandom. If there is anybody, probably we're looking on the screen at the 2 of them who might be on the more casual end of yes, hockey fandom. And but if it's just about diehards, if you just want to rank diehards, I do think the matchup is closer between Twins fandom and Wild fandom. I do think it's closer. Now, in our lifetimes, the peak casual Twins fandom was when I was in college. It had never been higher.
The mid 2000s Twins were, yes. Yeah. 100%.
Early to mid 2000s was just like it couldn't have been better to be a Twins fan. It was the cool fan to be. It's always cool to be a Vikings fan. Has it ever been cool casually to be a Wild fan?
Not really, because outside of what the conference finals run in 03, I think it's too, because
when it started, it was cool because we were learning how to become fans of the organization. But right, my lifetime, there hasn't been when you look, if you go to college campuses right now across Minnesota, what sports teams are they representing on that? When I was in school, it was the Twins and the Vikings. I think right now, if you go to Bemidji State's a weird example because you probably only see Twins and Wild. If you go to St. Cloud State,
Vikings still own there. Vikings still,
of course. But I don't know that you're just going to see a sea of Wild sweatshirts.
You don't really. You see the one guy, and I'm wearing a Wild sweatshirt today, but to kind of appease the Wild fans out there. It's not that I'm saying the Wild stink and I would never watch them, but it's to say in terms of, you see a guy in a Wild sweatshirt and you're like, oh, cool. That guy is going to tell me what their second line is. All the guys on their second line, he's just going to give me all the names. He's going to tell me prospects. Whereas if I see a guy in a Twin sweatshirt, I'm just going to think he just saw a sweatshirt that was cool and it just happened to be a Twins one. You know what I mean? I don't think that guy's going to sit there and tell me who the platoon left fielder is.
There is a potential that there are more casual Minnesota Lynx fans than there are casual Minnesota Wild fans.
That's fair.
There are more diehard Wild fans by a significant margin. But at this very instant, there are more casual Lynx fans than casual Wild fans.
You know what hockey is, Corey? And especially for what we're talking about. Hockey is wrestling. The people that love it. And they can't understand why nobody else loves it. But it's a niche sport to the casual fan. And it's hard to get into for the casual fan. And so there are pockets in our area where wrestling is king. And you would ask, but that doesn't mean that wrestling, and there's a lot of diehard wrestling fans, but the per capita isn't necessarily making a ton of sense because the only wrestling fans are diehard wrestling fans. And it's the same thing for hockey. There isn't a lot of casual hockey fans. If you watch it, you're all in on it. Whereas basketball, baseball, football is it can be picked up by the casuals just a little bit more. But I feel like there's a lot of overlap between hockey and wrestling fans. And so, and like, I'm not talking pro wrestling. I'm just talking like traditional wrestling sense, high school, college, that kind of stuff. But wrestling fans are hockey fans in that sense. And maybe you could even throw pro wrestling in there as well. If you're in it, you are all in on it. And if you're not really that into it, you're not even really going to make too big of an attempt to get into it.
I think if I were to rank them right now, let's see. Am I going to rank these by diehards, or am I going to rank these by diehards and casuals combined?
Well, I think I would rank it by diehards and casuals combined, right? Because here's the thing. Like when I look at this all around, and I saw somebody say something like, not a lot of Twins fans can even name the starting rotation of the Twins. And that's maybe true. But just naming guys on the roster doesn't make you, like, if you can't name the entire 26-man roster of the Twins, that doesn't not make you a fan. I think there's a lot of casual Minnesota Twins fans and even fans of, like, the Twins who, even though they're like, I'm out on the Twins, the moment it's July 1st and they're 2 games out of first place, they're turning the TV back on. Like, there are a lot of, and I think greater Minnesota and the whole Twins territory broadly captures a lot of this. The World Series championships in 87 and 91, and then those early 2000s Twins, both of those eras of Twins baseball have done a lot. So people your age and maybe a little older still hang on to those World Series runs and the Kirby Puckett, Ken Herbeck era Twins. And people my age got into their Twins fandom through Mauer and Morneau and Hunter and Johan and those guys. And even though I think that there isn't quite, there hasn't been that level of success comparatively, but baseball is trending in a younger direction. And I think people who poo-poo it aren't necessarily paying attention. Baseball is I'm not saying baseball is overtaking the NFL. Nothing's going to overtake the NFL anytime soon. But baseball isn't kind of in the same... Baseball used to be seen in the same stratosphere as hockey, where it's like, yeah, they exist and they're fun at their peaks, but like they're kind of dying off.
You're talking about baseball, CJ, and we're talking about the Twins. Yes. And the same age group, me included, like I am super apathetic about the Twins, and I am not the only one.
Yes.
So I think that's the difference.
Yes.
You're right about the game of baseball. You might be wrong about the Twins because the Twins suck and there's no hope on the horizon.
They do. And I think just because, and somebody brings up like attendance, and I think just because the attendance numbers aren't great doesn't mean that there isn't a dude who's at his house in middle of nowhere, Minnesota, and doesn't just turn the Twins on the radio to see or passively cares about him. So I don't know. That's just my...
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think all of those things are fair. I think if you were to combine diehards and casuals, the Twins do surpass the Minnesota Wild, because I think there are fewer casual Wild fans. That being said, I don't think either of those teams have the second most popular fan base right now in the state. I think it's Vikings first, Wolves second. And then you can have your druthers over if it's the Wild or the Twins. And then the WNBA is hosed. Like, they're just not even going to play basketball, and they're going to ruin whatever momentum they have.
Don't worry, baseball will get in its own way next summer. That'll
100% they're going to ruin it. And also, this is what's hard for me to gauge on some of this too is these regional sports networks and their availability to watch our favorite teams is really gummed up, in my opinion, on how to assess where real true, like how people are watching this stuff, because the only the diehards, I'll include you in that, like, go out of their way to make sure they can get the Twins. But like, I got a lot of people in my life who are, if you want to go, let's go like 35 to 45 or 35 to 50, who are like, we can't watch any of this stuff because it's not just immediately ready. You have to go older than 50 into my parents' age, in their 60s and older, who are like, we just get the cable channels and still watch the Twins on a daily basis or satellite or whatever. So like, some of this regional sports network stuff being as gummed up as it is right now also affects just personally my ability to assess some of this.
And this is my point with all this, because I know the Twins get talked about the most in this, but the Wolves and Wild are still on Bally. They still were in the same boat the Twins have generally been. I know the Twins moved to Twins TV last year, but that conversation was happening while the Twins were still on Bally. And notice how everybody's up in arms for it about the Twins, and they are about the Wild and Wolves, but the Twins are the loudest ones people talk about. And that's one of the things I hang on to as well.
Fair. That's a good point.
So anyway, to wrap all that up, let's talk about the Minnesota Twins to end the show here. Corey, we made some opening day lineup projections. Now, I know the final 26-man roster isn't set yet. Mainly, there's a couple position battles here and there that are still being decided, but I think we generally know what the starting lineup is going to look like. We're assuming Joe Ryan is going to be the opening day starter, 100%. And we are assuming, that everybody's going to be healthy. We're assuming
health.
That's exactly. Except for, I'm on the fence about Trevor Larnach, but that's for a different reason. Let's take a look at our opening day projections for the Minnesota.
That's about him because of ability.
Yeah, that's
because of good track record.
Exactly. The Twins are paying him $4 million, and they're probably going to hang on for the sunk cost fallacy. They should have even. I don't know why they decided. Like, I get it at the time why they decided to bring him back on like a $4 million tender. They could have just let him elect. They could have just tossed him into the free agent bin and not paid him, but they brought him back because Outman and Roden played bad for a week and got hurt. Outman played so bad where you needed to set a floor at left field. But now the problem is Outman and Roden, and I know it's spring ball, but they just look more comfortable on the organization. And now Larnach feels really redundant. But also, you're paying him $4 million on a team that's cut payroll 3 years in a row. Are you really going to eat that money? Anyway.
We'll have that conversation when we get to who we think, because you just named the three guys who are basically going to be in the run for left field here to start opening day. So let's save the rest of that for when we get to our left field spot.
Okay, here's my starting lineup. I'm just going to read it off and then I'll go back.
Please.
Number one, I have Byron Buxton leading off in center field.
Okay. Do you want me to counter, or do you want to do it?
Let me just burn through mine and then we'll let you burn through yours. I have Alan Roden as your left fielder batting second.
Okay.
Lefty. Buxton's a righty. I have Luke Keyshaw in the 3 spot at second base. He's a right-handed hitter. Josh Bell, your cleanup at first. He's a switch hitter. And then at 5, I have Matt Wallner, who's a lefty, playing right field. Number 6 is Royce Lewis, bats right, plays third base. Number 7 is Ryan Jeffers, the catcher, bats right. Number 8 is Brooks Lee playing shortstop. He's a switch hitter. And for the 9 spot, I have Victor Carantini as your team's designated hitter. He's a switch hitter as well. I did not have Cody Clemens in my lineup, although he could be a person to take that DH spot as well come opening day. Now, my thoughts with Buxton in the lead spot, I thought about Keyshaw. I kind of danced around with a couple ideas. I just thought about Buxton because he's your best hitter in the lineup, and you're going to get the most at-bats with your leadoff hitter. He's going to end up amassing the most at-bats over the course of the season. I want that to go to Buxton. And I picked Alan Roden because I think he's got a better long-term future than James Outman in left field. I think whether being hurt or whether just ability, I wouldn't put Larnach on the roster, and I don't think he'll make the roster. I've been wrong before, but that's my judgment there, and then the rest of the lineup kind of speaks for itself. Corey, what do you got?
All right. I want to just address a couple of things with that. And they're going to counteract what I put down on my lineup. I didn't actually follow this, but one of the things that I like about your Buxton Keyshaw argument is obviously the higher up in the order that you put these guys, the more at bats they're going to get. You're talking about the difference between 3 or 4 at bats, or 4 and 5, and sometimes even 6 at bats, depending on how the game goes. That really does matter. Even just the difference between the first spot in the order and the third spot in the order. One of the other things that I think about a lot is like when I look at the New York Yankees, Aaron Judge often hits second in that lineup. Yep. Which is weird. It's a non-traditional spot for a guy who's the size of an NBA power forward to hit second. But they put him there because they can put Giancarlo or someone behind him who helps protect him. And also it means a leadoff guy can get on, and Aaron Judge is hitting 2-run home runs rather than solo home runs. And they've got a guy, they have to pitch to Judge because they got protection behind him, right? That's all important. And you put him at second because there's only going to be 1 out in the inning rather than 2 outs in the inning. Now you can pitch to Judge. Who cares if he hits a solo shot, because he's probably just going to get out anyway, and then it's a 3rd out. Anyway, I understand all that. I look at Byron Buxton as the Twins version of Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
I understand that's weird.
He's the team's best hitter. Yeah.
If you put it in a vacuum, I can't counteract you. I understand how ridiculous that sounds, but Byron Buxton is the Twins' best hitter and needs to get up with as many opportunities with people on base as possible. So I have Keyshaw leading off and at second base.
That's fair.
And then Buxton following him as your center fielder. This is where it gets hard, where if you want to continue the comparison from the Twins to the Yankees, because the Twins just don't have anybody who can protect Buxton like Stanton can protect Judge. So we'll kind of go into our righty-lefty mode. Wallner in right field bats 3rd. Jeffers, your catcher, bats 4th and cleanup. And then I'm going to go your DH, Josh Bell, followed by Lewis at third base, Lee at short. I'll put Trevor Larnach in left field because, you know what, I was giving up on all professional Trevors, and then Trevor Lawrence was damn near an MVP in the league this year. So let's at least give Trevor Larnach the opening day spot in left field. And then Cody Clemens, your first baseman to start the year, batting 9th. Joe, obviously, on the hill.
Yeah, and remember, too, the Twins are playing a right-handed pitcher on opening day in Trevor Rogers with the Baltimore Orioles at Camden Yards. So if it was a lefty, you'd maybe see somebody like Austin Martin get that left field spot because he's a right-handed hitter.
Sure, totally.
And that would be how the math would change a little bit. I don't really know if much else would change because Lee's a switch hitter. The Twins have a lot of righties with Lee, Keyshaw, or with Lewis, Keyshaw, Buxton. Maybe you could see somebody platoon for Matt Wallner. But I just don't think the Twins really have I just don't think the Twins really have a ton of outfield guys. I mean, maybe you could put and this is the thing with the Twins lineup. They're not that deep, and they just run themselves into some very weird scenarios where, like, if there's a left-handed pitcher on the mound, Matt Wallner has a hard time with lefties. So you want a right-handed hitter in there. And maybe that means you move Keyshaw to the corner outfield spot. Okay, that's fine. But who are you going to put at second? And the Twins don't really have a right-handed infielder. You can put Brooks Lee at second, but, like, who are you putting at shortstop? That's a right-handed hitter. And, I know Orlando Arcia, Ryan Kreidler, some of these guys battling for depth spots, but they can't hit. So, like, it's one of those things where it's this Twins lineup, again, we are far away from the days of having, like, Donovan Solano and Kyle Farmer and some of these other guys.
It's like professionals.
Exactly. Professional depth guys. We are in the Twins bargain bin waiver wire era again, where they just are kind of finding guys and hoping and praying for career bounce back years.
All right. So let me ask a quick follow-up here. I'll put you on the spot just a little bit, but if you were to pick, like, these are the opening day guys, because this is who we think is ready or who's going to be ready or what makes the most sense. Let's go to June 1 or July 1 or August 1. And, like, what is your ideal? Let's translate that lineup you just put into place. Maybe you want to mix and match somebody on the bench or not. But like, what's your ideal lineup amongst those, let's say 12 players we just named? I have one like hope, I guess, that I would change, and maybe I'll just give that here to give you a second to think about it, is I think Keyshaw and Buxton and Jeffers and hopefully Wallner are like your constants in the top 4 of the order. I would love for Brooks Lee to sort out his shoes from his hat when it comes to batting. And like, now you can talk about Brooks Lee being your leadoff hitter and then going Keyshaw and Buxton, or Buxton and Keyshaw, or whatever. I would love for Lee to just settle in offensively, where historically he's never really struggled, but has of late for a bunch of various reasons. And now all of a sudden you're talking about, you move Brooks Lee up and you're talking about a guy like Wallner or Jeffers or Lewis or Bell, who is hitting 6th or 7th or 8th in your order. And now there's some real depth offensively, assuming health.
Right. And again, assuming you get those bounce back years or huge leaps from those guys. Because again, I think Royce Lewis is another key. I mean, you could put maybe Royce Lewis in the Luke Keyshaw spot in my batting order. I think Keyshaw is just playing better right now. But like, you could give maybe the 3 spot to Lewis and put Keyshaw lower in the order as well. But I think with Royce, I think I'd rather have him start lower in the order and let him kind of work his way up rather than have him be at 3. And if he doesn't get it right out of the gates, you have to move him down. And what does that do for confidence and things like that? I'd rather kind of set him lower and allow himself to work his way up and build that confidence rather than the other way around. But you talk about Brooks Lee, and I agree with you 100%. So I'm going to pivot to Royce Lewis, where again, I think if you have a Buxton, Keyshaw, Royce, Wallner, top 4, that can do some damage if Lewis can find his game again. And then you throw in Josh Bell, who's just a competent major league hitter in the middle of that. Ryan Jeffers, competent major league hitter in the middle of that. There is a scenario where this Twins team does find it. And by the way, Emmanuel Rodriguez and Walker Jenkins are playing for the Twins this year. Again, health notwithstanding. Emmanuel Rodriguez made a good impression in spring training, and I think he accelerated his timeline for when he will join the Twins. Walker Jenkins got a little hamstring injury. He's going to be okay, generally speaking, but he missed his opportunity to play a bunch of spring ball, make a good impression on the coaching staff, and kind of accelerate that timeline of when we think they're going to be there. But Corey, by August 1, I think Walker Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez make their debuts for the Twins, and both of them project as outfielders. Is Rodriguez a right fielder? I mean, he's got the arm for it. Both of them play a lot of center field. And I think Buxton's not going anywhere in center field unless he gets traded or unless he gets hurt. I mean, he's just too fast to move to right field. I don't think moving to right field is necessarily what's best for Buxton, unless you think Walker Jenkins is your center fielder of the future. But I think he probably profiles more as a corner outfielder anyways.
Well, that's the only thing is you're not the Angels, and you don't trade for Torrey Hunter and then move him to right field the next year if Mike Trout isn't the upcoming guy.
Right.
No, you know more than that. You're professionally employed to take a closer look at the Twins than I do. So maybe I trust you that Jenkins probably doesn't profile as a center fielder, but if he is the center fielder, it's the same
thing like Royce Lewis. He didn't profile as a center fielder, but he's athletic enough to play it.
Totally right, exactly. And you made an interesting point though about Lewis that I think I agree with you. He just hasn't done enough to have earned the 3 spot in the order. He's
love to put him in the 3 spot, by the way.
Sure, but he's been bad.
Yeah.
So, but I will say this: a guy like, if you want to give him opportunities to hit the ball, you put him behind Buxton, because they're not going to want to pitch to a healthy Byron Buxton. They're going to pitch to you and give you a chance to hit. You've sucked, and we'll wrap it into a double play and the inning's over. But opportunities to get pitches to hit are going to come your way if you hit behind Buxton, whoever they put behind Buxton this season, if it's Lewis or literally it could be anybody else.
Right. And one quick thing to wrap this up. We're basing a lot of this, at least I am, off of past the way Twins have done things. And I know we've talked about, we don't think the Twins are going to change that much under new manager Derek Shelton. but it is still a new manager. So what little wrinkles, what does he prefer in, all things equal when it comes to where Lewis goes or Bell or Wallner, or who does he want as his prototypical leadoff guy? With Gardy, we always knew it. It was bat second, hit second. Like that was some of the Gardyisms of the way he constructed his lineup. By the end, we knew exactly how his lineups were going to look every single day. Rocco, even though they mixed and matched a little bit, you still kind of generally knew where things were going to be. We don't quite know that for Derek Shelton yet, so we're going to have to learn that. So
yeah, and I went super traditional. Like the only thing I kind of went out of order is I just moved Buxton up a little farther because he's your best hitter. Typically, your best hitter traditionally would hit third. I just moved him up one spot because I don't. What the hell? Why not?
What does it matter? This team's winning 75 games, anyways.
Well, it's funny to think about it because you're like, oh. Well, if Lee can kind of figure it out a little bit and Lewis can settle in and like you have potentially
you can squint and see it.
Professional, like 2/3 of that lineup can be professional hitters when this is all said and done. It might not matter.
Right. Exactly.
It might not matter.
Same thing for the pitching staff. Like, Joe Ryan could have another all-star year. Simeon Woods Richardson can take another step up. Mick Abel and Taj Bradley can be awesome. And it might not matter if the lineup stinks, or both of those things are good. And it might not matter because the bullpen is employed by
offense might even be like, maybe the offense is good. There's shots that the offense here could still be fine. There's a lot of ifs. And if you have 6 ifs, it's usually a bad sign. But like this team is going to have to score 5 runs a game to win.
Yeah, not because the starting staff is going to let him down. They need to hedge for the bullpen.
The starting staff is less deep than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no more wiggle room in that starting staff. And then yes, I mean, there's going to be a lot of Emilio Pagan situations, I think, this season. The Twins are up 4-2 as we head to the 6th, and they lose 9-4.
If it's 2021 and you say your closers at the back end of your bullpen are Taylor Rogers and Liam Hendricks, you go, whoa, that's awesome. And now you look at both of them and you go, oh, they've lost about 3 miles an hour on their fastball.
Yeah.
Liam Hendricks and Taylor Rogers are most likely going to be your team's closers this year.
100% they're going to be the team's closers with no one in AAA who's like, that's my job.
Nope, there isn't, because any of the starting pitchers they thought about converting to the bullpen, their depth got shattered. And now it's like, well, we're going to just leave you as a starter.
Can I just throw a name at you out of sheer stupidity? And because why not?
Why not?
One of these potential starting guys is not going to be a starter.
Oh no, probably not.
Season.
Which one?
I don't know who that is, but I'm just going to.
My guy is Connor Prelip, left-handed pitcher. He's hurt too much to be a starter. Move him to the bullpen where he just pitches 15 pitches a night. Let him cook.
Sure, I think that's fair. Here's another one. You want a guy who's got the most electric stuff, who can be your closer, right?
Yep.
Why isn't Mick Abel the closer this year?
I think he's going to be a good starting pitcher. I think he will be.
I agree with you, but does that mean this year he's going to be a good pitcher, or does that mean eventually he's going to be a good starter?
I think it's a little two-pronged. I think one, you get more value out of the player being a starter, and I think you only, like Louis Varland moving to the bullpen, that is you exhaust every other option before you move them to the bullpen, because once you move them there, they rarely move back.
Well, again, because of who the Twins are. The Twins are not a competent, relevant franchise. So if it's a thing to get you through the season and you need electricity in the back end to save your Heine, that's the guy who's got the most electric stuff in your staff, it would seem.
It would theoretically. The pitcher also has to agree to it, is the other thing.
100%. It's not.
You're right. I'm just saying that there are some things that it's not as simple as just snapping the fingers, is what I would say.
It is as simple as if the division is bad, which is going to be, and on the off chance that all of those ifs come true, you're going to need somebody who can close the game out for you. And if that just means like, oh, crap, we're after the All-Star break now and this is not working, but we're in it, Abel's our closer for the rest of the year. But like that's insisting on health. That's insisting on Simeon Woods Richardson being good, Bailey Ober being good, Prelip not being hurt. Like it's insistent upon 29 ifs that surround this team in a dark, dark cloud of abysmal attitudes.
Uh-huh.
And like that's, I understand it's not likely, but of all the guys who are currently on the staff who have the stuff to be the closer, the stuff that I see, the stuff from you, from other people, is he's got the most electric stuff for that spot.
It insists upon itself, Lois.
It insists upon itself.
Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. We'll see.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.